In this video, we're modeling junkyard items in HO scale, gondolas and excavator, trying out the new Anycubic M5S Pro with built-in heater and AI chip.
Hello and welcome to a video tutorial in which we will model details for a scrapyard. Yeah, this has been a request for since long from you viewers. It seems like many of you have metal recycling companies or scrapyards, junkyards on your model railroads and looking for inspiration for detailing there. So we're gonna do this. I have a module here with a junkyard. We're gonna model an excavator with a peel grapple for it. You know, one of those heavy machines going around sorting metal scraps in the yard, and gondolas coming in via rail with scraps to the junkyard. And I've been given the opportunity to try out the new 3D resin printer from Anycubic. It's called M5S Pro and is actually being released today, January 19, 2024. And I'm putting up a link to it so you can click on that and check the machine out. What is this all about then? Well, it's a 14K resolution on this one. My previous printer was 4, so it's I think it will be amazing to see the difference in detail. And it also have built-in heater, so you can have it in the garage, outside, or wherever, because it will heat the inside of the printer. So if it's a low ambient temperature, which previously has been a problem for resin printers, then it will adjust that. So big advancements with this new type. And well, check out the link. We're getting started on the build.
So here's the new M5S Pro from Anycubic, a resin printer with 14K resolution and built-in heater. This enables you to have the printer in the garage if you like. It will handle temperatures from 5 degrees ambience and bring the temperature up to good levels for the resin. The print head itself is wider than earlier, which is a very good thing for us model railroaders, because we typically print long but not all that wide items. So this printer allows me to start printing passenger coaches as well. The printer comes with a large jar for resin, which is a good thing. You don't need to refill all that often, and with matte FEP for easy release. When buying this printer, you also get access to the Anycubic Cloud. This allows you to start the print directly from the slicer, and once the print is ready, you'll get the notifications directly in your smartphone. But let's now first get that excavator. And the excavator is part of a set on CG Trader called DET0067. So here it is, let's click on that, and as you see, it's a part of a junkyard set which contains all of the items needed to build a junkyard. So I'm adding that to my chart, and once downloaded you get a compressed file like this. Then you need to right click on that and select Extract All. When doing so, it will create a folder, and into that folder it will save all of the 3D models provided with this set. And the file we're gonna use for this project is called Excavator All Parts. So included with the printer on the thumbnail drive is this slicer software, which is called Anycubic Photon Workshop. And we open that Excavator All Parts in this slicer, and it will look like this. Now we need to do some settings. First, of course, to set the machine to M5S Pro, and then we need to set the values valid for the resin. First, I set the layer thickness to 003 to reduce layer lines to a minimum. I set the normal exposure time to 3.6 seconds, which I found best for this mix of 70% ABS-like plus and 30% Anycubic tough resin. And by saying that, I should also explain why I'm mixing these two resins. Well, the curing of resin continues over time, and say after a few months, especially 3, 4, 5 or 6 months, if you drop the item into the floor, it will break. But by adding tough resin, it will not. It will also be possible to replace couplings and wheels if you're printing rolling stock. So the 30% portion of tough resin is the key for long-lasting items. And then I set the off time to 1 second to allow for reflow of the resin under the print head, and bottom exposure to 30 seconds to ensure good bond to the print head. With the settings done, we can hit slice, and then this program or application will slice the file for us. And as mentioned earlier, we can now save this to cloud or on a USB thumb drive. And with that done, we're ready to start the actual printout. And before that can happen, we need to fill the jar with resin. And as mentioned, I use 70% ABS plus resin and 30% tough. And after that, we can put the hood on and hit print here on the display. And as per now, there is only one model available, and that's the one we selected here, which is the excavator all. So let's hit that. Now here is a new function which is called print functions. In this menu you can select delay start, and per the chart following the printer you can see how much you need to delay the start in order to get the temperature up inside the printer before you can print at the ambient room temperature where you have your printer. I set my delay here to 30 minutes because I was trying out 40 degrees inside temperature, but afterwards I can tell you that 40 degrees is not a very good selection because it will make the print soft and flimsy. So, 30 degrees is fine, but 40 is too much. So now we completed our print. I scrape it off down into the washing bin, and then I set the washing duration for 8 minutes. So now this will circulate the alcohol inside this bin and clean our printed parts. And with that done, we're ready to remove it from the supports. And as always, when handling resin printed stuff which not yet has been post-cured, you should always use protective plastic gloves since the resin is somewhat corrosive. So some parts can be just torn off the supports, while some need to be cut away, especially the more fragile part like the cabin here. With the supports removed, we can now post-cure the parts. So here I put them on the plate, which goes into the post-curer. I typically post-cure them for 4 minutes, and then I spray them with Tamiya Surface Primer Gray. And after that we're ready to start the assembly. And I start this excavator assembly by joining the 2 halves of the chassis. And after that I'm starting to paint. So I'm painting the chassis here in yellow. Now yellow is a kind of tricky color to work with because the coverage is very poor. So you have to paint many layers. It actually took me about 4 or 5 layers to get to this point. It's first now you can see the amount of detail you get from a printer like this once the paint is in place. But I have not painted all of the parts. I painted the crane, the chassis and the body, and also this peel grapple. The other parts, they need to be painted in other color, like the hydraulic valves here. They will be painted black. But I prefer painting the details using my paintbrush and not with an airbrush. Like this. Okay, so then we can continue the assembly by joining the chassis to the body. And now you can set the body in the angle you like for your diorama or model railroad. The crane is movable and is assembled using this pin. So the pin is assembled into through the cab here and then go through the crane, and once you have it in place you just put 1 drop of fast set glue there, and you're ready to go. Now the hydraulic valves, they snap in place. There are snap fittings in the body. So we just push them into place here. So once, there you go. And here's the other one. All right. For the push rods, I paint them using Vallejo liquid silver. Also with a paintbrush like this. And then I assemble them into the boom here. And then they need to be cut to length before sticked into the hydraulic valves like that. Alright, so let's do the same thing on the other side. And when I feel happy with the angle of the boom, I just fix them using fast set glue. Remove any excess glue using a paper cloth like this. Right, now it's time for the next pin. This is the boom long pin, and we use that pin to join the two booms, the first boom with the second boom. Now I've managed to get the paint into the holes here, and if you also do that, then you need a drill. And a suitable dimension for the drills to make room for the pins is 0.9 millimeters, so almost a millimeter. And I just remove the paint. So let's do these holes as well. Here and here, they should all be 0.9 millimeter, like that. So now we can fit the pin through, and once the pin is in place, well, then we'll fix it in place there using fast set glue. This one snaps in like the others, but the front end, the push rod for the hydraulic, is fixed using a pin. So I push the pin through like that. And then we need to once again cut this to length before sticking it into the hydraulic valve. Alright, so now we got most of the excavator ready. But of course the cabin interior needs to be glued in place. So I put that inside there, and then the cabin outside like that. Now, more than half of the job with an excavator like this is the weathering, and most of it is made using burnt umber brown. So here I'm using a method called dry brushing. I dip the paintbrush into the paint and then wipe most off on a paper cloth. This way the brown will only stick to edges and make it look worn. So this is what the peel grapple look after that treatment. Now we're assembling the peel grapple into the second boom like that, and secure the pin with some fast set glue. This is Artist Oil Paint Black. I put it on a piece of paper to extract the linseed oil, but I take some of that color and I dissolve it into odorless turpentine. Now this will help us to enhance the contour of all the details. This weathering method is called pin wash. So I'm applying this black wash over all details on the exterior of this excavator, like here on a panel seam, but also to highlight the detail here in the bands. Now my excavator will be operating on a concrete plate, and then the outside of the band will be worn. For that I'm dry brushing on natural steel 70864 by Vallejo. So I'm applying that just on the top bits of the band, and that will give those a metal shine, so they look worn like this. Now I'm also dry brushing some burnt umber here again to the edges of the body. It's kind of bumped into things. And with that done, well, then our excavator is ready for the site. And this is what it looks like when in place in my junkyard on the layout. This is a kind of small junkyard with some containers. They're sorting metal scraps here. I must say that I'm really happy with the performance of this printer. The details of this excavator is just stunning. Really nice. And here are some containers I also printed and painting using the same technique. But hey, we also need some gondolas to transport the metal scraps here, don't we? So I'm putting up a link in the upper right hand corner to a catalog where you find all the 3D models I'm using in this video. And in this catalog you have this Eaos car, which is commonly used to transport scraps and metal scraps. So this is just what I want for my scrapyard. So I'm adding that to my cart and downloading it into my slicer, and then it looks like this. So the main body, the bogies are, yeah, it's really nice. And also the neem couplings. And once I've hit my print button, and after a few hours, it looks like this. So here they are sitting on the supports. After I've removed the supports and added primer, it looks like this. Me, I've selected the rail cargo color scheme, so I'm painting the inside of these container cars or gondolas with white gray paint from Vallejo. And yeah, this is also a paint which needs a lot of layers to get a good coverage. Whilst the outside is a reddish mix from red, Cavalier brown, and I also have a portion of gloss varnish. This is necessary to get a good coverage and a seal type paint surface. So here we go with the red paint as well. So this one was much easier, only required 2 layers to get a good coverage of that one. The bogies and the couplings are black, so I paint them just in black color like. Then ahead of assembly we need to paint some details as well, and that is the handles, the handrails. I paint them yellow. Same goes for any footsteps and also these hooks, which I use to fix cars during ferry traffic. Then we have these control boxes down here. Paint them white. And then we can start the assembly. So I just snap the wheels in place like this. 2 wheels per bogie. Like that. And then I put 1 drop of oil in on the sliding surface for the neem mechanism, and also here. And then 1 drop up here so I can squeeze the bogie easily. And assemble the neem spring. If you don't have neem springs, these can easily be made using a drilling machine and a piece of music wire. And then I just snap the bogies in place like that. And with the bogies in place, I just insert the coupling. So very nice. All we need to do now is to add some weathering, and I'm using basically the same method I use for the excavator, meaning burnt umber brown on the edges to make them look worn. I also add a brown wash both on the inside and on the outside. The cargo itself is made from, well, I don't know what to call these in your area. In my area they're called stålboll. These are used to clean really dirty dishes, commonly frying pans in steel. So you find this under household equipment. And well, I just cut them to length. I divide 1 bowl into 4 cars, and then it looks like this. The resin cost to print one of these gondolas is $2-3 depending on what you paid for the resin. But then you need wheels and couplings, of course, but it's a huge cost saving compared to buying ready-made models.
All right, turned out pretty nice. And I don't know if you see it, but down here I have now 10 of this gondola. I just kept hitting print. So now I got the long unit train. It's already these 2 cars were too much for my little junkyard, but this unit train looks awesome on the layout. So I keep printing. No, 10 cars is enough on my layout, or 12, we'll see. Anyway, I think it's fantastic. You just download whatever you need to the model railroad, hit print, and next morning the parts are there, so you can start creating and adding detailed stuff at a fraction of the cost compared to buying it in the shop. So I think it's next level for sure. I want to thank you very much for watching the video. I hope to see you also in the next one. If you're not yet a subscriber, don't forget to subscribe and enable that little bell next to the subscription button, and you will get a notification once next video gets published. Until that happens, see you.